Okay, we are at Emigrant Pass, which is the highest point on Tevis, and historically was a pass for the miners coming from the gold rush to the Comstock. Anyway, this is looking towards California. We're looking west. That is Needle Peak, and looking up towards Soda Springs. That's Granite Chief. That is, oh no, not Needle Peak. That's Tinker's Knob. This is Needle Peak. This right there is Picayune Valley. It's a glacial valley. You can see the U shape, which you do ride down towards on the Tevis. And then now we're looking south. This is what's called Fort Sumter. And because the Comstock was in 1864, they started coming over this pass in the 1850s. But when the Civil War broke out, and they were coming over in 64 for the Comstock, a lot of traffic at that point, they thought that looked like the fort where the war began. So they nicknamed that rock Fort Sumter. It's always been called that. And this is a snowdrift that is still here because this is the earliest Tevis I remember. There's usually a snow patch here, but not nearly a whole drift like this. There's Watson's Monument, built in 1931 by Robert Watson when he rediscovered the trail and marked it for Wendell Roby and the Native Sons. And beyond, way beyond, is Lake Tahoe. And when you're on the Tevis Cup, you come right about here at sunrise, and that's where the sun rises, so pretty spectacular. The trail used to come right from those trees, you can kind of see, right past Fort Sumter, right past this monument. Now they have the trail come up right here. And I think it's because of that snowdrift. It might have been a problem on some years. It's kind of on the shady side. And now you cross the pass and you go down kind of northwest. This is the trail bed. Just walk a little further. For the modern Tevis, Western States Run, that's it right there. And it drops down into this valley, which is Granite Chief. But the original trail from the 1850s, all the way until the 1970s, like 20-something years of the Tevis Cup, you can barely see it because it's been lost. Nobody has used it since. We used it for we called it the Western States Adventure Trail Ride, which was a 5-day ride. We did 20 miles a day in the fashion of the old days that Wendell started before the Tevis. They were multi-day rides to enjoy the same trail, 100 miles. And we used it because it was the historical trail. And that was in 2020 because they didn't hold a Tevis. But as far as I know, that's the only time it's been used. Even hikers don't. Since I think the 1980s, maybe 70s or 80s. And you can kind of see it. It's right here. That direction is actually southwest, and it goes across this bald mountain side down into a valley. You see that meadow? That's a nice meadow, and of course in the 1800s it was a good resting spot. The North Fork of the Middle Fork of the American River headwaters originate there from springs up here. And that, that meadow was a resting spot for people, of course, hiking on foot and riding pack mules, whatever they had to get to the Comstock and the Gold Rush in the 1800s, so they needed a resting spot. There is a historical place down there called the Greek Hotel. It was actually a cabin, and Mercantile or whatever had a supply station there, but only for a year or two in the 1850s. So you went down this and switched back through that valley and over to the shoulder of these mountains. And now, in modern time, for the last 40 years or so, you go that way into Granite Chief. Just a little history. And today it is June 23rd, I think. The run is this weekend. We always like to get that flag up there for all the runners to enjoy at sunrise.